Well, good morning and welcome back to Money Mornings with Hannah Kesler. Hey, so last week we talked about legacy, not just money, but the kind of impact you can leave behind. And today we're shifting gears and diving into something that's been a game changer for so many people I work with. And I like to call it invisible income. Because here's the truth. Most people don't really just want insurance or the death benefit. But in my opinion, I think this is the only insurance, life insurance specifically, is the only insurance that's actually guaranteed to happen. Because I hate to break it to y'all this morning, but everybody's got a guaranteed expiration date on our bodies. But really, what people want more so than death benefit while they're no longer here is they're wanting income, they're wanting cash flow. And insurance is just the vehicle to help us get there. And today I'm going to be showing you what exactly I mean by that. So before we dive into today's episode, I'm feeling a little under the weather, if I'm being quite honest with you. I got a little head cold going on, but I'm reporting live from Boston, Massachusetts. And I haven't been here actually since I was 14 years old. My mama and I took a Northeast historical trip where we started in Washington, D.C., we hit Boston, we hit Baltimore, we hit New York City. And what was really cool is we took trains from place to place. So I haven't been here since I was 14 years old. Now I'm 26. And I'm like, oh my goodness, I kind of forgot how cute of a city Boston is. And specifically, I'm around here in the MIT area. I'll tell you this too, because yesterday, just to kind of clear my sinuses, I was taking a walk around town and oh my goodness, okay, the weather here is so much nicer right now than Florida with all the humidity. But I was taking a walk around and I was walking through like almost like the campuses and where the dorm rooms are. And I saw all the kids outside, they were doing their afternoon sports. I saw a lot of them like in the gyms, a lot of them like in coffee shops, working on their computers, probably getting homework and stuff done. And I almost had like a little bit of FOMO. I was like, oh my goodness, why am I regretting not going to college now and having that college experience? But I wouldn't change anything that I've done up to this point in my life. And I was having like a little bit of FOMO because I was like, how fun, how cool. Because I remember when I was younger, I would go to a lot of those college parties, okay, like when I was like 15, 16 years old, which honestly, scary, Hannah. Why were you doing that? But I just remember how fun it was going around and bopping around to the different KU campuses. Because right, living in Kansas City, you have KSU in Manhattan or Kansas University, KU, over in Lawrence, Kansas. And my girlfriends and I would always go over to Lawrence. It's a really cute town over there. But anyways, this is a cute place. The weather is beautiful. I'm actually a little nervous because I got to walk over to MIT today because I'm going to be speaking at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. So I'm really excited about that. So wish me luck today, y'all. But I'm going to walk there. It's about a 17-minute walk. And I brought a light jacket. And I'm going to be wearing my flip-flops until I get there, until I put on like my little kitten heels. So hopefully I don't get cold. But before we get into everything today, so that's new in my world, what I've been up to. But hey, I also want to talk about this. All right, it's probably beating a dead horse, but Cracker Barrel, can we talk for a second? Okay. I feel I am entitled to an opinion because, okay, that was a job that I had, right? Okay, so when I got fired from the chiropractic office, my dad's chiropractic office, I got fired when I was, I want to say 16. And I was so distraught. I remember bawling my eyes out because I just couldn't believe that I just did that to myself. And you can hear my story if you go over to my YouTube channel. You'll hear that story when I'm talking on the NASDAQ stage, talking on this stage of NASDAQ was one. What's the other one I'm trying to think of? Oh, the Bankers Club of Mexico. So I've shared the story a few times of the reason why I got fired. But when I did, I was so distraught. I was bawling my eyes out because I have a really strong work ethic. And so I went online that evening and I applied to all of these different various places. And one of the applications that came up was Cracker Barrel, and Cracker Barrel needed some more waitresses. So I applied and I got the gig. And I worked at Cracker Barrel until I was almost 19 years old. Because when I moved to Florida, I moved down there like 2 days before my 19th birthday. So I was working there for 2.5, 3 years. And that's really where I found my entrepreneurial spirit, because back in the day, Cracker Barrel didn't serve alcohol. So I could be a minor waitressing. And I kept all of my own tips. Okay, so that's really where I found my drive and my entrepreneurial spirit, because I determined how much I made in a shift, how fast I wanted to turn my tables, how well I took care of the guests that came in. And I loved it. I loved that job. And I loved working with the people too. Matter of fact, one of my regulars who would come and see me every Thursday morning, it was a dad and his 2 kids while the wife was at work. And because Thursday mornings in Kansas City, it's late start for school. And he would come in every single Thursday, request me to be his waitress. And he actually bought the childhood home that I grew up in. So it was just such a sweet moment. But I'm happy to report, and I know that y'all know this, that the logo is changing back to what it was. Because hear me out, that it's not so much I guess it really is the logo, and it's not so much the political side of it. I know everybody wants to turn everything political. That's just my humble opinion. But it's more so the fact that I'm so sick and tired of things being modernized or more simple, right? Especially like in the world of design. I think things should be simple when we're talking about complex topics and trying to understand something. But when it comes to design, I mean, this is why I love fashion. I want to have my own boutique and be a fashion designer at some point in my life, because it's all about the details, the character. That's why in Kansas City, one of my favorite things I would do is I would hop into my Nissan Altima and I'd drive around town, and I love looking at all of the old Stonehenge houses and the architecture in downtown, like around the plaza area, Loose Park. And I don't want to get away from that. And I just felt like the new logo was going so into this new modern trend that's happening with straight lines, white, black, and brown as the color palette. And it's like, no, y'all, I want the personality. I want the characteristics. So we can see actually what happens when, business makes kind of a change and a move that the public doesn't enjoy, because you can really see what happened to their stock. So I say all of that because we are going to be talking about really something that, in my opinion, is not complex, but it's just different than the normal way of thinking. And what do I really mean by invisible income? I'm talking about money flowing into your life without you punching a clock. Okay, so this is the money that shows up whether you're at work or on vacation or you're sleeping. And think about it as, a lot of people like to think rental income or business cash flow. Your business is operating without you, or maybe policy distributions. So that's the kind of income that creates freedom, because at the end of the day, it's not your net worth that matters. I mean, it does, but more so what we're chasing is the cash flow. And that's a whole episode I could be doing something on, which is cash accumulation versus cash flow. And a lot of us get so focused on cash accumulation, aka putting money into the bank, into 401ks, IRAs, but we're not really discussing the cash flow. Because remember, y'all, your money is always worth more today than what it is in the future. And you want to have access to those good dollars today, and you don't want to be limited to what you can use that money for. So speaking of 401ks, I know some of y'all have been seeing the headlines that Trump has issued an order allowing alternative assets like private equity into 401ks. So I got to thinking about this because what does that tell us? Well, it kind of tells us that even Washington is admitting that the old traditional ways aren't working anymore. People want options outside of Wall Street. I'll give you another resource. If y'all go out there and research the book, The 501k Plan, 501k Plan, it's written by Ted Benna, Benna. Ted Benna is actually the inventor of the 401k. And in that book, he talks about how this 401k he created is not doing what it intended to do because of government intervention. So instead, what he does is he puts 75% of his net worth into a 501k plan. Well, you know what a 501k plan is? A whole life insurance policy with a mutually owned company that pays dividends. So even the inventor of the 401k is going back and saying, hey, no, y'all don't be doing this. You guys should go over here and do this fancy 501k is what he calls it. So here's my perspective. Infinite banking is like your own private alternative asset. It's contractual, it's private, and it gives you control. And you don't have to wait for the government or your employer to open up the door. So, excuse me, I'm going to be doing that a little bit on today's episode just because of this head cold. But I think when you start to think outside of the box, think for yourself and question, really look and study what elite people are doing with their money. Because let's be honest, do you think Jeff Bezos is putting money into a 401k? Really? You think he is? Because if you start to just imitate what the elite and the wealthy are doing, don't go out there try and reinvent the wheel. Just copy what they're doing. And I'm telling you, you need to follow the money and follow what other people who are successful, living the life that you want to live, really follow in what they're doing. I'll tell you, I don't put any money into the markets. I don't have any 401ks, IRAs, qualified plans. All I have is my policies. I keep 3 months of my overhead expenses in a bank account. Other than that, my money is out there working for me in my private lending deals that I do on real estate. And we can talk deeper about that. Send me an email if you want to talk deeper. Okay, I'm always here to answer the questions. So for today's episode, I'm not going to be getting too deep into answering the chat questions because I got to run. I got to make sure I stay on time today. But you can send me an email. You can always reach out to me there. So how we're getting into this, okay? Because yes, there's a lot of ways that you can use a policy before retirement income, right? You can use it before you're supplementing your income. And when I'm talking about the infinite banking concept, a lot of people were talking about the immediate need and the immediate use right now. So what I really want to get into is not so much the immediate use. I'm going to touch on it a little bit, but I really want to start talking about the tax-free cash flow that can come from the policy within the retirement years. Okay, we want cash flow and I want it tax-free because in my opinion, I want to pay tax on my money one time only at the lowest rate possible, and then get that money into a tax-free environment where now it's growing tax-free for us. And that is what the whole life policy with a mutually owned company does for us. So I'm going to be bringing up some visuals, but before I bring up my visuals for y'all, let's go into a quick commercial break. Hey, money multipliers, just real quick. I know times are crazy right now. We're in very uncertain times, and that's why we need to come together and thrive as a community. So coming up, Denver, Colorado, October 9, 10, and 11, the Money Multiplier team, we're going to be out there hosting a live mastermind for you. My folks who have policies, want to build and strategize on the empire that you have. And for my dreamers who you haven't started your infinite banking journey yet, but you want to connect and be with the like-minded people so you know you're on that correct and right direction. So I want to see you down there. So myself, my dad, Brent Kesler, Chris Noggle, we're all going to be together in the one location. So check the link out down below for more information, or you can visit themoneymultiplier.com/mastermind 2025. I'll see y'all in Denver. So the reason I'm bringing up the mastermind is this is one of the topics we're going to be talking about, tax-free income during retirement. And we're also going to be getting into real life case studies of, people who are using this for their income replacement. So I need to now bring up my sorry. Now I'm going to bring up my PDF here. I'm new to StreamYard, so just bear with me for a second. If I want to share my screen, I go here. There we go. Okay. All right, beautiful. So let me kind of blow this up just a little bit. Blowing it up. Okay. So this right here is a policy illustration, okay? This is what I look at a lot of the times when I am identifying if a policy is built good for the infinite banking concept and we want to use it. So this is really what I'm looking at. Now you can notice that this is with a company called Lafayette Life. And I'm not married to Lafayette Life. Really, the reason that I wanted to use Lafayette Life here is because of this one column that says increase in net cash value. Reason being is because we don't have to go in and do some additional math today as we're talking about this, okay? But really, Lafayette Life is a great company to conduct your infinite banking system with. One America is a great company. Security Mutual Life is a great company. There's a lot of great companies out there. You just want a company that's strong, that's mutual, that has been paying dividends for a long time. In my opinion, a long time is over 120 plus consecutive years. And yes, you only want to use a whole life policy. Why do we only want to use a whole life policy? Well, for one factor, this word right here, guaranteed. I will do an episode on the different vehicles that are out there sometime soon, okay? And if you don't want to wait, you can always go over to my podcast show, the Money Multiplier Podcast, and I talk about the differences between whole life IUL. Now, what I am doing here is I really crafted this policy thinking, okay, if I'm going to be using this for income replacement, working it backwards, how do I identify a good premium to start this policy with? And here's always my advice. I would really look at the net cash flow situation that you have going on. And what I mean by net cash flow is I want you to take your gross income minus your expenses, minus your taxes, okay? Gross income minus our expenses. And then that leftover net money, don't just keep that money held down at the local bank and these bankers are using your money, making a good living off of it. So I want to start by shifting that into keeping the savings money. That should be the dollars that you start to allocate towards the policy. So when I was using this example, I was thinking, okay, let's say that I am a woman. Excuse me. So let's say that I'm a woman and I'm bringing in $10,000 a month. And let's just make believe that my expenses every month are $8,000. So 10 minus 8 is 2,000. So I'm going to contribute $2,000 a month or $24,000 a year for the entire journey right now of this policy. So now you can look at right next door, the net cash value column. You do have an immediate cash value that you can use from this policy, okay? But I'm not going to focus on immediate use just right now. What I want to start doing is I want to start taking out tax-free income at the age of 65. So here's my age of 65 right here, 25 years into this policy. Look right here. Over these 25 years, I've put in a total of $528,000 of cumulative premium inside of this policy. My cash value at that point of age 65 is $946,000. Really, I have over $400,000 in cash value more than what I even put into the policy at this time. And this is what I'm saying, the power of the uninterrupted compounding interest, because when that money starts to compound every day, every year on top of each other, tomorrow's going to be better than today, and today is better than yesterday because of the uninterrupted compounding. 1 second. Thanks for bearing with me, y'all. So, why did I switch over to the non-guaranteed side? Well, I switched over to the non-guaranteed side because the only difference between guaranteed and non-guaranteed is the dividends. Okay, when you're working with a mutually owned insurance company, that insurance company pays out those dividends. Now, yeah, I can't sit here and promise y'all dividends inside of your policy contracts because they're not contractually guaranteed. But with all the companies that I personally do business with and with Lafayette Life, they've been paying dividends for over 100 plus consecutive years. So it's a pretty strong chance that they will keep paying out that dividend. My goodness, it's killing me today. So, why is this important now? At the age of 65, I can start taking out tax-free income from this $946,000 here. What you can do is you can start taking out So what you can do is you can start taking out withdrawals from this policy rather than just taking out policy loans up to this point. Now, here's the thing though. You can only take tax-free withdrawals up to your cost basis. So you can take out $528,000 of tax-free withdrawals from your policy. But once you get to that $528,000 of tax-free withdrawals, now what we're going to do is we're going to switch it, and now we're going to start taking out tax-free policy loans. And that's the money that we're going to be living off of. Because remember, this is invisible income. I already paid tax on this money. And so that money that comes out of my policy is all tax-free to me. The growth is tax-free, and anytime I'm taking out those distributions, that is tax-free as well. But now get this. Let's look right here. When I stop paying premiums at age 76, no more premiums are going inside of this policy. But look right here at this increase in net cash value column. Even though I've stopped paying premiums into this thing, every year my cash value is growing well over $75,000 a year. Do you think you can live pretty comfortably on $75,000 a year? I think so. And even if you're like, no, Hannah, I can't, Well, get this. What you could do is start more in premium. That's going to get you more in cash value growth. What you could do is use the cash value during your prime working years. Because look, you got cash value here that you can start taking out, and you could go put that money to work for you. See, this is what I'm doing. I'm using my cash values today to go out there, buy myself cash flowing assets. So come the time of retirement, I have the cash values in my policy, plus the cash flowing assets, my investments out there that are working for me. And both of those together, that's what's supplementing my income come the time of retirement. So that's why I'm saying, hey, you can use this money today to actually create you more in cash flow today instead of having to wait until age 59 and a half, age 65. Okay. Now, I want to get more specific here too, because like I said, you can take out tax-free withdrawals from the policy. I suggest taking out withdrawals when we get into the retirement stages of life. I don't recommend it right now during our working years. The reason being is when you withdraw the money from your policy, number one, you're stopping the compounding growth on it. Okay. You're no longer earning your uninterrupted compounding. And number two, you're surrendering part of that death benefit. Because when you withdraw the money out, you are now surrendering that death benefit here. Because cash value in the policy, y'all, it's nothing more than just a prepayment of our death benefit. So essentially what we're doing is we're just withdrawing from the death benefit while we're living tax-free to us. Let me also just be clear one more time from a tax standpoint. You can withdraw tax-free up to your cost basis. Cost basis meaning how much have I put into this policy up to this point. So I can withdraw $623,000, let's call it $624,000, tax-free. But once I get to $624,000, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch it and I'm going to start taking out tax-free policy loans. Obviously, policy loans are never taxable in the traditional sense, but just to be clear here, those policy loans are tax-free to us. So when I get to that point where I'm pulling out more than what I put into this thing, all of that money to me is tax-free. And y'all, what's our largest eroder of wealth? It's taxes. So this solves our problem of our financing needs today and while we're living. It also solves the problem of the death benefit, and it also solves that problem of guaranteed income during retirement, because this is why I don't put money elsewhere, because I want to control the risk of what I take with my money. That's why I'm a huge advocate of real estate and a huge advocate of whole life insurance, because it's guaranteed. It's guaranteed to perform this way no matter what the markets decide to do, no matter who the president is and who the president's ticking off in the world. This is guaranteed to operate this way. So I would really just look closely at how you can use whole life insurance to supplement that income and create invisible income for yourself. I mean, when you start to get into those later years and you want to start qualifying for Medicaid, Medicare, and all of that stuff, I've been kind of dabbling and learning a little bit more about that. Yeah, my youthful years at 26, I just want to know. But, they really do look at your assets and your income and your net worth, and this is invisible to them as well when you're trying to qualify for other programs like that. I mean, y'all, this is pretty freaking powerful stuff, and I hope you truly see that. Now, there's always going to be a death benefit on this policy, whether you like it or not. Okay. So that death benefit is always going to get paid out lump sum tax free, as long as it is not a MEC status policy, right? We'll talk about MEC at a different point in time. But I hope you can see the message that I'm really trying to convey here, because I'm telling y'all, this is very powerful stuff when you really start to dive deeper into it and you start to peel back the onion. And I think that we need to just look deeper at whole life insurance instead of just saying that, oh, it's a terrible, bad investment, because in my opinion, it's not an investment. If you want me to be combative with that comment, your 401k is an investment in my opinion, because my definition of an investment is it can go up in value, but it can also go down and lose value. Okay. So there's risk associated to it. So I really want y'all, actually, I was going to say something different, but here's really what I want y'all to do. You guys need to be in the room in Denver, okay? Because these are real life examples that we're going to be getting into where I'm going to talk even strategically mapping it out, because I know you people like to map that stuff out. A lot of you people, you look at this illustration, you're like, oh my gosh, what in the heck am I even looking at? I get it. But if you are in that room in Denver, you will see it mapped out line by line exactly how this is working year after year for income replacement for retirement. Okay. I also even have some of the home office officials coming down, Security Mutual, Lafayette Life, One America, the regional vice presidents. I mean, they're coming down to speak with y'all and just so you can hear it from the horse's mouth what's going on at the executive level of these insurance companies. So I want you to meet them. I want you to ask them questions as well. Don't just take my word for it. But I hope this was helpful in kind of showing you my strategy of what I'm personally using in my own life. And here's the bottom line. You know, a lot of people think, oh, I don't want death benefits and I don't want this insurance. I get it. What you really want is you want invisible income. You want steady, dependable cash flow that gives you the freedom. And whole life insurance is just that tool that makes it possible. So if you want to see what your own numbers look like, reach out to me. Okay, reach out to me. I'll walk you through the process. I'll walk through that personalized illustration with you. And remember, income buys freedom, and freedom is priceless. Yes, where you're storing your money and cash accumulation is important, but at the end of the day, it's the cash flow that sustains our life, minimizes our stress, and allows us to take back the time, the location freedom for ourselves. So I think that's all that I have on my agenda today. If you want to see this illustration, hell, y'all, I'll send it over to you. Okay, so send me an email as well. And you can learn more about the infinite banking concept if you go to hannahkesler.com. Hannah spelled the same ways, forwards and backwards, Kesler with one S. But thanks for bearing with me today as I'm getting over this little cold here, and I do appreciate y'all. But hopefully this is making sense to you deeper and deeper, okay? Because I'm telling you, it's not so much about the numbers. And yeah, we can get deep into numbers. I get it. I come from my mama who was a nuclear engineer. That's as analytical as you can get, okay? So I get where the number side of things and the questions are coming from. But it's more so about the concept of controlling your money, no longer leaving out the interest, paying out interest to other people, or losing the interest you could have earned, having the freedom to do whatever you want with this money today instead of waiting until age 59 and a half just to avoid the 10% penalty. Oh, and then get that. When you make it to age 59 and a half in your 401k, your IRA, what you also still got to pay is the taxes on your money. So it's just so backwards thinking, because people are saying, hey, take your tax breaks now because in the future, you're not going to be making as much money. So the tax isn't going to be as much. And in my opinion, I don't want to be making less money in the future. If not, I want to be making more money, but not so much more money on the active side. I want to be making more money on my passive side. So that's what we should be doing during these working years, is increasing the passive cash flow, so that come the time of retirement, I got my passive income coming in plus my policy tax-free income over there. And that's what's going to sustain my livelihood and my lifestyle during that point of my life. So I hope this was helpful. Come and join me next week. All right, I'm here every Thursday, 9 a.m. Eastern time for another episode. Don't know exactly what I want to do next week. I know next week, actually, when I'm going to be talking to y'all, I'm going to be in near Chicago, Gary, Indiana is where I'm going to be at speaking on stage. So if you are in the Chicago area, holler at your girl. I'm going to be out there. You should come and join me for the event. But again, thanks for tuning in to Money Mornings with Hannah Kesler. And I am going to see all of you next week. Enjoy your day. Happy Thursday. And have a wonderful weekend, y'all. We'll talk soon.